You flew over some of the most devastated areas after Tropical Storm Lee moved through. Tell me about what you saw.
Well, we did first Tropical Storm Irene, flew over the southeast on that one, and I've lost track of days and dates. That was towards the end of August, before Labor Day, I think, and saw a lot of flooding there. But the worst flooding clearly was from Tropical Storm Lee. Flew over the northeast part of the state on Friday, and then south central Pennsylvania on Saturday. Areas that were just totally inundated with water. I actually lived down in central Pennsylvania in Cleona in Lebanon County during Hurricane Agnes. I was a member of the National Guard at the time, and I remember that. This was not quite to Agnes breadth, but certainly the damage is tremendous. And in some places, particularly in Wilkes-Barre, they actually had more water. And thankfully, they had built levees in the meantime with floodgates over in Wilkes-Barre. The levees held. We had a little bit of a fear of a levee breaking across the river from Wilkes-Barre. It didn't break. We had to scold the people, get out of the towns, get out of the way in case it does break. But then flew over Bloomsburg. And as you know, they've got a fair coming up at the end of the month, the beginning of October, and I certainly hope that they're able to pull it off. But what I saw up there was total devastation. I think from the air it looked like 4 or 5 feet of water covering the entire grounds of the fair. And then if you know the town, there's a lot of homes around the fair, and they were all underwater. There's a poignant picture that we took from the helicopter that I was in. In fact, I was taking some of the pictures, and 4 or 5 planes in the middle of Bloomsburg Airport, just floating in the water, or having the water lapping up well up the side of the fuselage. What people don't know, in addition to homes and everything being destroyed, there was a great deal of crop damage. A lot of cornfields that we saw that were completely wiped out. Now, there's some islands in the middle of Susquehanna that people actually farm. Well, when they get wiped out, I think people were expecting them to be wiped out. But all along the rivers, in valleys, a great deal of destruction to the crops in that area, and particularly roads and bridges. We lost a lot of roads. A lot of roads are being rebuilt very quickly. There are areas as a result of Irene, and then again as a result of Lee in Wyoming County and some of the northern counties that are completely cut off. There was one in Irene in Wyoming County called Forkston, about 25 people. It was completely cut off.
That has to be small, because I've never heard of Forkston.
I never heard of it either until this, but I can tell you, I can take you to it right now by air. I could probably take you there by car at this point. But we flew over it after Irene. They started building some temporary ways to get in, and they were using trucks to get back in and out, high water vehicle type trucks. And then along came Lee and just completely did the same thing. So I don't even know the status. We worked very closely at PEMA, the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Association, along with my entire cabinet and the state agencies, not only to be prepared for what was going on, but also to what we call lean forward. There's a lot of stories that could be told. One of the things we did do is we abandoned we evacuated the governor's residence. We sandbagged it and everything, and we didn't get any water except for the basement. And there was a prediction we'd have 1.5 feet on the first floor. It's a very valuable building with a great deal of artwork, a great deal of antiques, so we got everything out. Great teamwork by National Guardsmen and State Police Academy cadets who worked very hard to protect it. And it's one of those things, if we hadn't done it, we would have gotten 1.5 feet. We would have gotten 4 feet. Yeah. It would have been much worse. And so we're very lucky there. And then working with our agencies, we are now geared up, and we're opening disaster relief centers with FEMA, where we are going to have our agencies right in there in these centers to use it as one-stop shopping as much as we can. And primary agencies that'll be there would be DPW, PennDOT. I recall reading a Sunday story here in the Patriot, I think it was Sunday or Monday, of a woman who lost everything. Her purse was stolen at a shelter, and her identification and everything. And I told our people, and I hope they did, go find this person let's get that person, their identification and everything. So we are trying to lean forward as much as we possibly can. Thankfully, the president did sign 2 declarations, one for Irene, actually 4 declarations, because there were 2 for Irene. There's a third one for Lee that helps individuals. Mm-hmm. We're putting together our request for Lee to go into the president for what we call public assistance. That's for governments, state and local governments.